Hey guys, Brian here. I'm just back showing you guys how my bed system works. A lot of you guys have had questions and on in the comment section, so let's get started and show you how to use it. It's pretty simple. Works on a track system in the rear, and first step you do is you just got to make sure you pull this down evenly. It just rolls in a channel. Then you come over here, drops right down and sits on some brackets that I made and put on the wall. And I'll show you the reverse step real quick, and then we can go back and go into detail on all the specs and the weight of the shocks and everything. So, but it just goes back in reverse. You just put it up, jump down here, it sucks back up. I've had no issues driving down the road. It stays up tight, doesn't fall down. And so let's go into the specs on it. So first it was trial and error, a lot of trial and error, and trying to decide what weight shocks I should use. And overall, my bed system, my bed frame and everything weighs 75 pounds, and then I added a 40-pound mattress. So with those weights, I added 100-pound shocks up front, and then in the rear, I did 40 pounds. Because 100 pounds right here, because it's supporting basically 2/3 of the bed, so it needs that extra weight right here. When I first did it, I started with all 80-pound shocks, and when I went to go pull this down, I couldn't. I sat there and hung on it, and it would not come down. So definitely trial and error, but I would recommend you weigh your bed, weigh your frame, and then go from there. So, but that's my setup. So next we have, so if you look at, let's come over on this one. Nope, sorry, over here. All I did was took some 2 by inch and a half, or sorry, it was 3 by inch and a half angled steel. It's 3/16 thick. Might be a little thick. You could probably get away with 1/8 inch. But just notch this little channel here from my upper bracket to rest on when it's in the down position. And then also on the shocks I put 10mm ball studs, and I can put a description in the comment section down below and off Amazon. So so there's 2 of those. And then up above, if you look up here, I've done the same thing. So when the bed's in the up position, it has another bracket to sit on. This one's just 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch. But I would recommend, maybe on my system, I should have done 1.5 inch by 2 to give it a little bit more overlap. But it holds it up there just fine. So, and then also on the wall, maybe let me pull this bed down again, and I'll show you the other set of brackets. Or come over here and look, you can see I had to put this other channel up here because initially my bed was coming up too high and scraping the ceiling, so I needed to put a stop. So I just bolted this up to the wall so it can ride on that until it levels out. So, okay, so if we look down the side over here, we can kind of see how it's set up. You can get down in there, and I'll show you where all the placement is on like the shock mounts and locations. We'll get to that in a second, but you can see how this tab rests on that tab, so when you're down, it's plenty. I mean, it might not look like a lot, but with this being 3/16 and 1/8 inch, I mean, I've had a couple people on here just to test the strength, and it's plenty strong. Definitely overkill, but I wasn't sure when I started building it. So we can go into the back and kind of give you an overview on the track system I made. So on the rear here, if you want to come in, we can check out this track. So what I started with was 3-inch by 2-inch track, or square or rectangle tubing, and I cut a 1-inch notch all the way up. Just used a die grinder, and you need that void in here for the nut back here on the wheel to run up and down in there so it doesn't rub, and push it up so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Whoop, I gotta go the other side first. So if you look at that inside, that wheel is just guided inside that track. And so what I recommend to you guys is you find a different size channel, because when I picked this out, I'm thinking, oh, I'll find a wheel to match. It's not the case. This is actually 2 3/4 on the inside, 3 on the out. So, you know, standard wheel size is 3 inches. So I had to take my wheel, put it in my drill, and put it on my edge sander, sit there and spin it to get it down to 2 3/4. So I would recommend you find a smaller wheel, maybe a 2.5 inch wheel, and then a smaller track that it fits inside. It'd be a lot easier. So lesson to learn from. So down here at the bottom, I just took 5/8 hitch pin. That way if I need to drop my bed out, it's also, you know, the rest for the wheel to sit on. But if I need to take the bed out for any reason, just pull that out, undo the shocks, and I can drop it out the bottom. So, but up here on the wheel, I put another lock nut, or nylock wax nut, low profile, to make as a stop, so I could put this in here and adjust my wheel where I needed it to sit so it wouldn't rub, you know, the inside or the back. So it gives you adjustment right there. So, let's see. Let's go, I'll pull it down and I'll kind of show you what materials went into the bed frame. So on the inside of the bed, I used poplar wood for my framing, just because that's what I had at the shop. So you could use 2x4s or whatever you do, you know. And I wrapped it in my wallpaper just to make it look nice, so I didn't have to paint it or whatever. It's kind of durable. So, and then on the inside on this top edge I ran 1 inch by 1 inch aluminum channel to keep it clean and hide my top cap. And then if you want to come over here, for my bed support in here, I just used a 1/4 inch white melamine so it was clean, and drilled a couple holes in it so I can lift this up. In here, you can see how I built, you know, I've got my bolts coming through my angle iron that going, you know, all the way through. And then I found some 1 inch galvanized at the scrap metal place, and put those all in, and they're super strong. It gives a little bit of flex too, like a box springs. And then it gives me access under here for my wiring for my can lights underneath. And also, if you look like right here, you can see my angle that I screwed to the side. And then let me set this down, and then if you notice under here, this is what supports my skin here. So I glued the stainless steel Formica to a piece of Luan, so it's nice and light. And so, like I said, these brackets all support that, and makes it fairly lightweight and definitely durable to the elements. But let's see. So I guess we can start talking about some measurements, because that's where it's kind of iffy. I know that's probably what you guys are really wondering, where everything lays out. Let me grab my tape measure, and I'm gonna put this back up to the ceiling. Goes right up without that mattress on there. So my bed frame overall is 51 inches. That's just because that's what I needed. It's just under a full-size mattress, so they call it 3/4 size. So it's 51 by, I believe it was 83 3/4. So my overall frame is 83 3/4, and my wall measurement on the inside was 89 3/4. So you need that bit of space, especially for how deep your track ends up being, so you know, whatever you get. So I would recommend you get your track, get it up, and then you can take your measurements for your bed frame so you know where you got to sit. So the ball stud for this rear strut or front strut is dead center of the frame. It's 25 right there in the center. So that's important that you keep it about right there. And then the one in the rear, I put back, it's about, I'm going to remember, it's 1 3/4 from the rear frame, the rear part of the frame. So it's something to note. But let's see. Okay, so on the placements of my struts, I mentioned on the other side. So where I started with my ball stud, I put it 1 3/4 to the center of the ball stud from this back edge of the frame. And then to get this measurement here, I ended up I latched my strut on, and then I hooked it to my bracket here onto the ball stud, and I ended up coming up with 23.5, and that's from this edge of the bed, the back edge, to the center of the ball stud. So when it's down, it has enough clearance that it doesn't max out the shock. So that's what I figured out on mine. So that's 23.5 from here to here, and then also 23.5 from center to center of this ball stud. So also to note, these are 36-inch long struts. So that's what I came up with. I didn't think I could fit a longer one, and the space that I have, they would have maxed out. So I'll show you the measurement what I have to the ceiling in a second. So let's see. So the distance that I have between my ceiling and my bed frame ends up being, remember, so I've got a 8-inch memory foam, which also I got on Amazon. I can, put a link into the description for that. So super comfortable. It's 8 inches, so it comes up to about right here. So my clearance that I have to the ceiling is about 26 inches in the center. But then you go to the edge, it kind of gets a little tighter because of the concave roof. So yeah, it's plenty of space for me. I mean, you can't ask for much more, but and then I tried to keep it sucked up as high as I could so I had more clearance underneath. And it ends up being, in my trailer, it's like 68 inches, 68 and a half inches of clearance. So, but it just depends on your height of your trailer and what you're dealing with. So referring back to the mattress size, this was a full-size mattress that I ordered on Amazon. And since, I had limited space, I just took the, it's the memory foam stuff, so I just took it and cut, it comes 54, I cut it down to 49 so it would fit nice and tight in there. So it's easy to do. You just razor knife it right off, put the cover back on, and it's good to go. So I'll kind of jump up here and show you guys what kind of clearance you usually, you've got, and show you kind of. I've seen a lot tighter spaces in trailers, so it's not that bad. It doesn't feel too claustrophobic. I mean, I can kind of sit up a little bit, and so. And by the way, this mattress is probably more comfortable than my $1,800 mattress I have at home. So definitely, you got to look into that. But I think overall, that's pretty much everything. I'll throw some pictures in there. I hope it was helpful. I know it's kind of confusing. So if you have any other questions, just let me know and I'll answer them the best I can. So I hope you guys can take this and use it for your own builds, and good luck, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.